you know, so for you personally, do you accept that as the status quo, or do you
No,
think,
I can't.
what's your approach?
My approach is to actually connect with people such as Orla and yourself, like young filmmakers, and my friends Bedouin Soundclash, Dave Gannett, people who are actually working in their own streams, but you know, they have a like-mindedness. They understand, they've seen the problems. We could talk about all we want, but it's got to reflect now with us taking ownership of the work we do and how we choose to put it out there. How we don't actually, hear from someone saying, well, you can't do that, and then you just go and not do that. You find another way and without offending them and say, you know what, thank you, you don't want to be in this, but I want to do this, or like we're taking a little more initiative as a collective group of a generation of artists and filmmakers and musicians and writers and visual artists. I think that we have the power to own our stuff a little bit more now, and I think that we've seen it with the music industry. But I think I can't accept it. I think there's a lot of work to be done, and I feel like Canada's still untapped in a way. There's so much to uncover. There's so much to do. Yeah.
Speaking of the music industry,
Yeah.
working with Bedouin today, worked with other bands before, and in doing the research for this film, I couldn't help but look at all the other cultural industries that we have and look at the model and what we've achieved in the past decade
Yeah.
in music,
Yeah.
and think, we have now a really, really strong independent scene that has tremendous respect locally, nationally, homegrown.
Yeah.
People are taking pride in it and successful on the international stage. What do you think we've been able to do with music that we haven't been able to replicate in the art that we make in film and television so far?
I think it has a lot to do with that sort of initiative. Like a guy like Jay, he'll record our record in 2 months. But he'll work his ass off. He won't wait. He won't expect to have the best studio, all these things. He works with what he's got. He'll make it in his bedroom because he has something to say that he wants to put out. I think with film it's a little difficult at times, but I think it's easier. But we wait too much. We expect, like when I was saying that idea about, when you're making films and specifically, and our ideas are so huge, I think that we don't see at times the things that we can do fast, get it out, and create a sort of flow and rhythm of work turning out. Because you only get better by doing it. Filmmaking isn't something that you get better when you read about it or watch movies. You got to be doing it. So I think that, we're missing that sort of that rhythm of flow where we're just turning stuff out that is still quality, but still like a training ground, still like you're learning because you're constantly learning after everything you make. Like these guys, put out a record every year, put out a record every year, put out a record every year. They're working on another record. It's like, how come we're not doing it? It's also because the medium and the things that we think. Then why aren't we changing our thinking and thinking of other ways that we can, minimize the expenses that we think? Maybe we got to shrink our ideas down and get them more in a here rather than thinking them out here. Because I think that you think that, Wendy and Lucy, certain films come out like last year, and then there are these big films that come out. Are they better? Was it a better film? I can't say it was. And you compare $300,000 to $50 million. So what do you want to say? I think it's us constantly trying to support each other with you got a friend that's making films and you help them out and they help you out and you kind of create this system. I think it's like, Chaos hangs out with Jay and Jay hangs out with Justin Peroff from Broken Social Scene and Justin Peroff hangs out with Little Jazz, and there's this whole synergy, but they're not like, they don't come from the same band, So I think that it's a little isolated, a little too isolated. But it is a difficult medium to kind of have a big collective thing going on with, right? I don't know. I think there's a lot to learn. I think it hasn't been cracked yet. That thing with film and opposed to music that can allow us a little more freedom. But I think I'm seeing it with guys that are just like, they got their own cameras, they've got their own editing suites, they know some actors, But how long do you want to work that way though, as well, right? And you have to earn a living. You know, I've seen a lot more people make records out of their basements and turn in a nice profit than guys making films out of their basements and making anything at all. You know, so it's a business. It's an industry that's beyond it's a little beyond us in a way. You know, yeah, I think.